right, everybody, welcome back to Of Stone and Clay, episode 71. Can you believe that we did it?
Yeah, we finally made it here.
Dude, how did you... I'm here with Spencer Schmidt. He's been on here. This is his third time.
Yeah.
How did you get on 3 times, do you think?
I think just righteous living.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so it's funny. I kind of re-listened to our episodes. We did our first one like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, it shows how consistent you are. Congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, dude.
That's like half the battle.
I know. And it's funny, like, yeah, we were like, I was like, yeah, how long have we been friends? And you were like, yeah, like a little over 2 years. I was like, dude, that's crazy.
That's what I say on it?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
It's kind of dark.
Yeah. So it's funny. The first episode, we got close really quick, but there was still probably a lot I didn't know about you.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to think.
And now, like, we've since moved in together, and I got to really rack my brain to find out things I don't know about you.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad. This episode is probably a little hard to prepare for.
No, it's fine. There's a couple of things I want to talk about, and the thing is, like, there's plenty of stuff that we've talked about a million times, and we'll talk a million times more.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for being a historic guest.
Yeah, of course.
It's also like with this new setup, I'm so stoked about the improved quality, the studio and everything. I almost feel like every guest from the past can come back on and do a real episode.
100%. Well, no, some of my highest performing reels and TikToks were from our previous episodes where it was filmed on the iPhone, like a mile away.
Yeah, one iPhone, horrible lighting. Really?
So we did like some good editing and we zoomed in.
Yeah.
But remember, my mic wasn't really working that day and yours was. Yeah. So if you listen to it in the car, you can barely hear me. Yours, you can hear super loud.
I know. I was listening to our episode today and like I can only hear me on my right ear.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we've come a long way.
It'll be both ears this time for both guests or both individuals.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. I was telling you, part of me was like, dude, what's my problem? It took me 68 episodes to get kind of legit.
Sure.
You know, to get a good setup and get the volume, like get everything just how I like it. But I don't know. I just couldn't have done it any other way, I guess.
Yeah. Well, do you mind if I kind of share my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I think there's a beauty in that. We spend so much of our lives not doing what we wish we could do, right? Whether that's trying to get into a relationship, whether that's pursuing our dreams. And our excuse is always, well, it has to be perfect first.
Yeah.
Right? And there's such a beauty in just like, no, I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
You know, now you're in this amazing studio and you were talking about how part of that was because, you know, the host saw your consistency.
Right.
And he saw the beauty in your commitment.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's people that can talk well on camera. There's people that can do what you do. But being consistent and like actually just going for something.
Yeah.
That's few people ever do that. Most people spend their whole lives and never do that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you did that.
Yeah. And it's funny when I first started, I remember thinking like when my first episode was about to come out, I'm like, bro, I did it. Like everything's pretty darn perfect. And just problem after problem would arise. You know, I would upload an episode with like a spelling error or something, didn't know how to fix it. Yeah. Like I had an episode that about 2 minutes after I accidentally deleted.
Congrats,
the whole episode. had to text an ex-girlfriend who knew how to fix it, and she came over. Yeah, that was helpful for my journey.
Were you guys able to reconnect?
That's really private. Actually, no, we were still kind of talking at the time. She wasn't really an ex, but yeah, I've had episodes that I had an episode like 10 episodes ago that it just stopped recording on GarageBand about halfway through. And luckily it was still recording on my phone. So the second half of the episode is like my phone to the microphone and the sound quality is horrible. It sounds like it's underwater in Cambodia, you know?
Yeah.
You know how that water can be.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, it's been fun to just slowly improve.
So I, as you know, started a business 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And everything that you just said, I feel like we went through in our own way.
Yeah.
You know, like And that's just part of the journey. Like, it's just messy, which is so funny because life is so messy.
Right.
So I don't understand why we would expect like pursuing our dreams to be anything different.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so uncomfortable. Like those moments, those are horrible.
Yeah.
When you realize the episode was deleted.
Yeah. I wanted to die.
Horrible. You know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I hear couples talking about this, how, you know, they go through that honeymoon phase and then they go through, you know, what some could call like a fall phase, where they go through some really hard times and they have some really, whether it's because of kids, whether it's because of finances, whether it's because of mental health, whatever it may be, right? But they talk about like going through those brutal moments and overcoming them is what makes their new love so much sweeter than their honeymoon love.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because now that you're in this awesome setup, like you can actually appreciate it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a type for life, right?
Yeah.
Like you appreciate things when you learn by hard experience how to appreciate them. Otherwise, you never can.
Yeah. I mean, look at like, I'm not going to put a number to it, but how many times has my heart been totally rendered and totally destroyed? And sometimes worse than others. But because of that, anytime I have even the beginning of a relationship, like I cherish it so much. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
And anytime I feel love, it means so much to me, and I don't take it for granted at all.
Yeah.
Because I've lost it so many times. You know?
But we joke about how some guys, some of our friends that got married super young in life, you know, they sometimes feel like the old ball and chain and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we talk about how we'll just never, ever be that way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, time will tell, but I don't think we ever will.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Dude, that makes me think. So I did a podcast yesterday. I was a guest on this girl's podcast, and we had not a heated disagreement, but we had a very different philosophies on dating.
Interesting.
We were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, I've been reading this book, and it's basically saying like, as you get older, you need to just settle and pick somebody and get married, essentially. Like, and I think the book is kind of targeted towards like older, like girls in their 30s and 40s and stuff. And she told me that, and she's like, so what are your thoughts? And I said, I couldn't disagree more. And my thoughts, you know, I'd love to hear your thoughts, but for me, I told her, like, I totally understand the idea of like surrendering the idea that a perfect person exists out there, a perfect partner, a perfect love even, but I'm not okay with settling in my relationship. You know, to me, I want just a magnificent relationship, right?
Yeah.
And I think I can have it.
Yeah.
But I also told her, I think if you, for whatever reason, feel like your stock is plummeting, then maybe you need to look in the mirror and say, okay, I can't be as particular, I can't be as picky. But if your stock is rising, if you're still working on yourself, you're still in good shape, you're still, your mental health is improving, you're going to therapy, you're working on whatever, and your stock is kind of rising, then I feel like you have more options and you can be a little bit pickier.
Yeah.
Right? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have a belief that, I have a belief in an afterlife, and I have a belief that the only two things we take with us into the afterlife is like our knowledge and experience and our relationships.
Yeah, and whatever outfit we're wearing.
Yeah, at the time. It's crazy. Yeah, they added that third one recently.
Yeah, that's really new.
Yeah, but so hopefully I like the fashion at the time, you know. But no, so for me, like relationships are my currency. You know how you and I have talked about like relationship wealth?
Yeah.
Like any other currency doesn't even matter to me. So this might be extreme, and maybe when I'm actually a parent, like maybe real parents will laugh their heads off at this.
Yeah.
But something that's always bugged me is, let's say a kid breaks a lamp, right? And a parent just freaks out at the kid, right? For me, I feel like it's important to teach the child to value things and to be like, you know, not like a menace that's just breaking lamps.
Yeah.
But for me, I almost feel like in that moment, they're kind of telling the child that the lamp is more important than they are.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of controversial, but that's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like the idea. I don't know how practical it is in actual practice, but I like the idea of like the imagery of like my kid breaking a lamp and then me breaking another one.
Yeah.
You know, and saying, hey, obviously we can't afford financially to keep doing this. I mean, hopefully we could.
Yeah, let's not just be breaking lamps every day.
But you are so much more important to me than the stupid lamp.
Yeah.
You know, like I would, you know, sooner have this house burned down than ever have anything happen to my relationship with you.
Right.
You know? And so for me, like, and here's the thing about relationships that's tricky. They come and go. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a parent, your kids are here today, kind of gone tomorrow. You know, they'll marry someone, move off to some other state, and hopefully you stay close, but who knows, you know, maybe they're closer with the in-laws and they did Thanksgiving and Christmas on some trip with them and you don't see them for, you know, a year.
Yeah.
You know, and parents pass on, all, you know, friends come and go. Ideally they don't, but often that happens. But the one relationship that never goes anywhere, ideally, is with your spouse.
Right.
That's the one person who wants to know where you are that night. You know, we joke about when we're single, we can go to India for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And no one will know or care.
Yeah, and I did, and no one did.
You have some awesome videos from India.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, it's like they're the only ones who truly care about me in every way. They want to know where I am that night. They want to know how I'm doing that morning. They want to know how I'm doing that afternoon, right? Ideally.
Yeah.
So for me, that relationship is invaluable.
Right.
And like, I want to do my best, like you said, to be the person that I want. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a different discussion.
Sure.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Like I do feel though that there is a disconnect between who I am and what I want, and that there's a lot of people who struggle with that. Right. I think I definitely struggle with that, and I'm working really hard to kind of maybe do this a little bit with that.
Yeah.
But that aside, like, this is my one shot at anything.
Yeah.
And in my belief, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, we've talked about how we view it as kind of like hitting the lottery, right?
Yeah.
But you only need to hit the lottery once.
Yeah.
You know, we're not our goal isn't to consistently hit the lottery.
Yeah.
You know, or if you want a different metaphor, like we're only looking to hit one out of the park.
Yeah.
And the rest, we can strike out the rest of our at bats. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. And for me, it's like, so this is like my one shot at like everything that like truly matters. Like, it's the most important thing of all time. And so, yeah, I really, really don't want to settle.
Yeah.
I'll settle on my car.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, maybe even my career.
Yeah.
But this is the one area that like, and you know, super funny. My bar is actually really not that high.
Right.
Like I just have like a few things for me that like my big two things, right?
Yeah.
My two deal breakers, if you will, is the first one is like an unwillingness to admit when you're wrong, when you need to change.
Yeah.
You know, which really isn't that hard. And then I think going along with that, I guess it's not even a second one, just like striving for empathy. Yeah. Striving to understand, to be kind, you know. And I have some other things for sure. Yeah. But those are my really big ones, because if we have that, if we can feel totally safe with each other, if I can like be myself, like if I can strip down metaphorically and be the ugliest, nastiest version of myself, and they can come and hug me, you know, that's what I want, you know. And for me, I feel like Christ is a great type, like figure for that. Yeah. And they're not going to be able to do that perfectly. Right. There's going to have moments where I trigger some of their past traumas and all hell breaks loose. Yeah. And guess what? I'll do my best to forgive them. Yeah. Because that's what I want back. Right. So it's not really asking for much, but that can be kind of hard to find. Yeah, it's rare. And we always talk about how for us the most important thing, and this encompasses what you're talking about, is personality. Yeah. Right. And that covers so much. Yeah. But it's like, that's where I think you need to be picky. Yeah. And you need to say like, you know, she has this and she has this and she has this, but the personality is not, you know, it's not quite there. Sure. And you know, super funny is that super subjective. Right. It's just like, how does it feel? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, do you feel safe and comfortable and, you know, at home with them? At home is such a vague concept, but
yeah, I don't even
when
know.
when you feel it though, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
When someone just feels like maybe a home you've never even had,
Yeah.
you're like, oh wait, so this is maybe what home. When people talk about a home, maybe this is what they're talking
Right.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like sometimes when you first start dating someone, you're like, wait, is this kind of what that love that people are talking about?
This is what people are singing about in all these dang songs.
Yeah, like I have all the songs, I listen to them, I have all the CDs.
Yeah. I still have the CDs, which is crazy.
But yeah, it's
Some of the
such
tapes.
I have all the cassettes, but it's yeah, sometimes there's different versions of love that you discover over the years, and sometimes you realize like, wow, I've been living without this.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know what's kind of cool for
and then
us?
it goes away.
Yeah. You know what's kind of cool for us is sometimes, look, there's endless pros and cons to getting married early, later in life, and getting married later in life. One kind of cool pro is you get to kind of just observe everything and everyone around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you get to say, oh, wow, like, yeah, I really wouldn't want that, right? Or I would really want that, you know? And then you're on a date and you see, you know, one of those characteristics pop up that you don't want. You're like, oh, this is something to be aware of. You know, maybe it's not the last date, but maybe it is, right?
Yeah.
And then you are on another date and you see one of those characteristics pop up that you want, and you're like, ooh, like I gotta play my cards as right as I possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, with my, you know, barely, you know, whatever looks I have, whatever I have to bring to the table, I got to play my cards as right as I can because I want to get a second date or whatever.
Dude, I was reading this. I read this book years ago. I thought about it when you were telling that lamp parable. We'll say
Sure. Yeah, we'll call them parables.
the parable of the lamps, of the oil lamps. But it's called The Last Lecture, and it's about this guy that is dying of cancer, and he's a professor, and they have this tradition at the university where when you're about to retire, you give some last lecture, you know, your final whatever, and it's usually just kind of about life and stuff, and he's like, and they're like, oh, well, obviously you're going to be done, but like, you don't need to give your last lecture. We know you're like in the hospital and stuff. And he's like, no, I want to give it.
Yeah.
I want to give my last thoughts. And one of the things he said, so the whole book's kind of about that, but one of the things he did with his kids is they bought a brand new car, brand new nice car. And the first thing he did is had like 3 kids. They all are in the driveway about to go for a ride. And he just opens up a soda and just pours it in the back seat. And they're like, what are you doing? He's like, just like you said, he's like, I just want you guys to know that this car doesn't mean more to me than you guys. And I don't want you to ever think it does. These are just material items. We're stoked to have an awesome new car, but it doesn't mean anything, you know? And it's such a, gosh, I love that. I love that lamp idea, you know, just to go that extra step and to be like, I'll break one too, you know?
Yeah.
And because he could have taught that lesson without pouring out a soda. He could have just told them, but that imagery is so strong, I think.
Thanks, man. Yeah. What it reminds me of. So this is a hot take. And once again, I guess I can stop giving disclaimers, but I want to give one more. When I'm a parent, I'm going to get steamrolled and I'm going to come back and watch this and laugh my head off at myself.
Sure. Yeah.
But that being said, I feel like, you know, that safety we talked about between spouses, I feel like safety between a parent and a child is also paramount.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Parent amount.
Parent amount. Yeah. Sorry. I said that wrong. But, because for me, like, that's actually going to be my number one priority. I feel like as a parent, your number one fear is I don't want to mess up. I don't want to like hurt this child or whatever. You know what I mean? And for me, like my errors are going to be on trying to create an environment where our relationship is too safe.
Yeah.
Because here's my thing. Let's say real issues do come up, right? Whether they're drugs, morality, whatever struggles they're going through. Yeah, mental health, whatever, right?
Yeah.
If they don't feel safe with me, and I mean totally safe, then I've like already disqualified myself from being able to help them.
Right.
Maybe if they get caught or whatever, you know what I mean? And then they're like, come to me in sackcloth or whatever. Like you do get kind of unique moments if they don't feel safe with you.
Yeah.
But if they do, then all of a sudden you can actually get in the ring. You can go into the trenches where honestly, in my opinion, that's the only place you can really help.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Guess who's in the trenches with your kids? It's their friends.
Right. Yeah.
Right? They're talking about all their struggles and they're, you know what I mean? They're getting real with each other. And as much as I hope my kids find good friends, they're a lot younger than me. They're a lot less experienced with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to be literally on the level with their friends where I can like go in and actually get into their struggles with them.
Yeah. And the kid doesn't feel any sort of like, oh, I can't tell dad this.
Yeah. Which is usually a pattern that's kind of created.
Yeah.
You know, my little brother just had a girl and he's talking about how they're doing everything in their power to not create like early patterns of like creating shame if she whatever.
Yeah.
Cries.
As she poops her pants.
Yeah, sure. But you know what I mean? Like, you know,
right.
Another dirty dive. You know what I mean? It's kind of maybe a little too early, but you know what I mean? I feel like those patterns start early with that kind of earlier stuff where it's like, yes, and because my thing is I want to be able to just discuss with them.
Right.
I want to be able to explain why maybe we shouldn't knock lamps over.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like just instill these like core memory, like shame experiences when they do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And look, who knows how realistic that is? I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to need a lot of grace. I'm going to need a lot of divine help.
Yeah.
So are they.
Right.
We're just both humans trying to figure it out. I'm just the one that's assigned to like trying to help them get through this impossible life.
Yeah.
And I want to make it just a tiny bit easier instead of a tiny bit harder.
Right. Yeah. Dude, I wanted to talk about your roast we did for
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we did, it's funny. We usually as a friend group traditionally do a really sappy, you know, we call it a honey roast.
Yeah. People hate it.
Yeah.
That are like outsiders who view it. They're like, these guys are.
These guys are a little light in the loafers. But yeah, we usually, you know, with our closest friends, maybe 5 or 6 of us, we go around and we say something we like about each other. And it's usually like really long and meaningful, and there's usually tears involved. And it's really, really sappy.
It'd be cool to film a honey roast.
Yeah. Yeah, it really would.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully you could capture that same authenticity, right?
You would need everyone to be used to being on camera.
Yeah.
That's so hard because most people aren't.
I know. Yeah. But this year, for whatever reason, you decided to do an actual roast.
Yeah.
And I know you had gone to a friend's that did it, and you're like, oh, this actually looks fun.
Yeah, it ended up being like weirdly meaningful.
Yeah. So talk about that a little bit. I know, like, we did a whole trip to St. George. There was like 15 of us down there, and you had
maybe
like
the best trip of my life.
Yeah, like 15 of your closest friends just destroy you.
Yeah.
And we all know you very well.
Yeah, because we're an open friend group.
Yeah. Okay, talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, okay, so when I went to the other one, I realized that those who did the best roasts knew their friend the best.
Yeah.
And it almost became like, and it's a sign of like endearment.
Yeah.
That they knew him so well.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so
because they pick out things that you're like, how do you even know that about him?
But then everybody else there knows you just well enough that they're dying.
Yeah.
So it creates this really cool, I don't know, just kind of like environment, if you will. Like it was super, that's not the right word, but close enough to kind of communicate the sentiment. But like, because then everyone's sitting there and it's like this, it becomes a huge, never-ending inside joke.
Yeah.
At your expense.
Right.
And it's just the funniest, and you're like everyone's laughing so hard, like it's the kind of laughing where you can't breathe.
Yeah.
And anytime you do that, it was a really good time.
Yeah.
So if we can do that as 15 of my closest friends and it's at my expense, sure, whatever. Yeah. Throw me under the bus.
And dude, it probably took like 2.5 hours.
Bro, Alex was like a half hour.
Yeah.
It was and literally every sentence he had to wait for like a minute of laughter.
It was crazy because, like I said, I think there was like 15 of us, and there was like maybe 3 guys that kind of didn't really understand the assignment and just had little kind of a few jabs.
Sure.
But like almost everyone else just hit it out of the park.
Oh, they were the best things ever. Here's the thing though. You got to know that your friend group, like at its core, is kind-hearted.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
and
because we weren't trying to like make you cry.
Sure.
Like, you know, in the office when they roast Michael and Oscar's like, I'm a good person, but I'm going to try to make him cry.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I was going to add the second little, caveat, if you will, is that you got to know that they like you.
You're right.
Because in the office, like maybe those guys are kind-hearted.
Yeah.
But the majority of them don't like their boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is, if at the end of the day they actually like you, because it's these friend groups kind of get weird where they kind of get stuck together, and some of them just kind of don't really like each other.
Yeah.
And that's where they can get nasty.
Yeah.
It's like, this is my chance to take him down. He gave me permission.
Well, a lot of friend groups become really competitive.
Yeah.
And really like almost like these sibling rivalries.
Yeah.
Where
There's a lot of posturing.
yeah, they're still tight and they'll still do anything for each other, but yeah, they kind of like jabbing each other.
Yeah.
You know.
It's almost like taking another friend down to elevate oneself.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is the opposite of our culture, friends culture.
Yeah.
Which is that's the other thing is it was so counterculture. We don't really roast each other for fun.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guy friend groups, they're always kind of roasting each other no matter what.
Yeah.
We're kind of the opposite. We're always kind of elevating each other and like complimenting each other. So it was fun to just flop our friend group culture on its face.
Do you have a few that stuck out that are they were just so funny and so like, I don't know, they just stuck with you?
Oh man, one of them would require me to cuss. It was so good. I'll just edit it. Yeah. But my one friend he goes, you after watching Sound of Freedom, you said you were gonna do everything in your power to save kids. You haven't done shiz. Everyone just lost it.
Yeah.
And then another one that he said, I'm in a band called The King Will Come. It's like a huge collective of like 17 people. Yeah. And I'm admittedly the least talented musician in the group. So a lot of times they just throw me in the choir and just say, yeah, sing a part. We actually, side joke real quick, me and another guy, we were joking around one time our mics weren't on for an entire concert.
Oh, yeah.
And I made the joke that that's like when you're playing video games with your older brothers and they give you a controller to like a different console. It's not even the right console. Sorry, that's kind
really
of a tangent. Yeah. But anyways, he's like, Spencer's part of King Will Come. He's like, the only requirements are the requirements for your ward choir. You just need to love Jesus and be able to like stand in the choir. Yeah. and that one, I love that one. Yours would be hard to recreate, even though they were amazing. You imitated golfing with me.
Oh yeah.
And everyone was dying because they've all been golfing with me.
Yeah.
If I did it right now, it wouldn't be that funny.
Yeah.
That one was super memorable. And then Alex, I don't know if I'd be comfortable repeating on air because they were super personal. Which is funny. In my thing, I said, don't get too personal.
Yeah.
Dude,
But it was so good.
Oh my gosh. But he just went at the absolute heart.
Yeah, but I think it didn't hurt you because you know Alex's heart.
Yeah.
And you know that like he was just trying to get laughs and yeah.
Oh, I got to do Creighton's. It was so good. Yeah. So something insane about me. And honestly, maybe I'm on a spectrum or something. We'll say a spectrum instead of the spectrum to be respectful.
Yeah.
But in high school, I learned how to speak backwards with some of my high school buddies.
Yeah.
And like fluent backwards. Like took us 2.5 years. Should have learned another language backwards, right? And so he starts out and he goes, hey, Werb, will you say like, I'm happy to be in St. George. And it's like, I'm a yipa utib to say dredgno. And he's like, yeah, it would have just been easier to just tell us you're on the spectrum.
The roast of roasts is a really special thing.
Yeah, and the fact that like you didn't have people like start getting on their phones and like start wandering around, like everyone was locked in.
Yeah, we even had a Zoom code and had a couple homies jump
on Zoom.
Yeah. And one did a really bad job and was just roasting other people.
Yeah, he didn't understand the assignment.
No. Okay, dude, there's a couple, it's funny. We always are constantly sharing with each other, like, just tagging each other in reels and TikToks and showing each other trailers and videos and just an endless stream of content.
Yeah, if you're not doing that with a friend, then I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you never had a phone.
Or a friend.
And you've never phoned a friend. There's a couple quotes that I wanted to share, and I wanted to just kind of get your thoughts on them. They're really cool, really cool quotes. And I might have even shared them with you before, but I know you don't remember them. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is by our beloved C.S. Lewis.
I want to name my first child after him.
C.
No, S.
Okay.
No, but Christian, and it will be Christian Spencer.
Oh, right.
So it'll be C.S. Lewis.
Oh, right.
Or yeah, Lewis, and then I'll change my last name.
Smart. Okay, so he says, but we want so much more. We do not want merely to see beauty, though God knows even that is bounty enough. We want something else which can hardly be put into words, to be united with the beauty we see, to pass into it, to receive it in ourselves, to bathe in it, to become part of it. I'll go first. I just when I hear that, I think about like, first of all, I love when he says, God knows even that is bounty enough just to merely see beauty, right? And I think sometimes we forget that because we want so much more, but even just the gift to see beautiful things and to take them in is bounty enough. What a cool thought. But then when he goes on to talk about, what we really want is to pass into it, to receive ourselves into it, to bathe into it. I think about art a lot. I think about to me, that's kind of how you alchemize beauty into something even greater, right? Something you can share and something that can last forever.
Yeah. You know what my first thought was? It's kind of basic, but hopefully it helps take this quote maybe into a really relatable not allegory, but like metaphor is when you see a girl you really like, man, like when you there's something about seeing a girl that's, even if other people maybe don't think she's very cute.
Yeah.
I dated a girl that my brother didn't think was cute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I'm like not sure about a girl, I'm like, that gives me the creepy crawlies.
Yeah.
But when I'm sure about her, I'm like, dude, I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't think she's cute? Well, you're dumb.
Yeah.
So when you see one of those girls that you're just like, and you kind of get to know her, that's what that quote made me think of.
Yeah.
You want to like connect with the beauty that is her, and you want intimacy that supersedes, what the world's so obsessed with, just the lustful, right? Yeah. It's all the other ways, right? It's the late night talks. It's the waking up in the morning with the sun shining on them. It's the, it's the laughing like we talked about earlier. It's the inside jokes. It's the,
right. It's these little, like, I'm sure we have them too, but I just don't notice them in men, but I feel like women as a species, they, especially, the ones you get close to and you start to care for, they just have these little idiosyncratic movements that are just so endearing to you. And I think part of it is because they're feminine movements,
sure.
And it's different than how we walk around. They do little things that if a guy did, he'd be like, this guy's a little, I don't know. But yeah, just sometimes the way they kind of, just react to something funny you said or something, it just like, yeah, it's dude, it's funny. So you know how I can't stand anime?
Sure.
And
we're gonna do this. We're gonna expose me on air.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
So you and a lot of our friends love anime, and I mean, you love like a couple shows specifically, right?
Yeah.
So I was dragged into this show the other day, and it was mostly because like all the homies were there,
sure,
and we were getting food, and I was like, whatever. I'll bring my notebook and work out some stuff.
I'll bring the notebook and watch it on my phone.
Yeah. But there was this scene where, and I don't know any characters, I don't know anything, I don't understand anything. But there's a scene where this guy is talking about how he would basically give up his whole life to like go back and spend that afternoon like playing catch with his son or something. And it's crazy, like with a girl you're just absolutely crazy about. All days are amazing, but there's some days that you're like, dude, I would crawl through hell to have that day again, And like I remember with this last girl that I was crazy about, like, it sounds so silly, but like we just went on a double date and we like went bowling, and I don't even like bowling's whatever to me. It's like
sure.
It's like kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, fun adjacent.
Yeah, it's really close to fun. And the people we went on a double date with, like, we weren't even super close with, right? But
an awkward double date will.
No, it wasn't awkward.
Oh, okay.
Like, we both really liked the girl, and it was kind of a new guy she was dating, whatever. Sure. But it was just like the best day ever.
Yeah.
And like I think we had like reached the pinnacle of our connection, and so we were just clicking on and so it was like, it was like if every time I went bowling was like that, I would bowl every day. I'd be obsessed with bowling. I'd be trying to get on the bowling tour.
Sure. You'd be like dang, I forgot it. The really famous guy. Who do you think you are? I am.
Yeah.
You'd be like him. Would you say that?
I would.
If you won? I would expect you to.
Yeah.
I would be, if you won a bowling championship and didn't say that, I'd give you a phone.
I should say that to that girl.
Yeah.
Right after this episode.
Yeah.
But
return report.
But yeah, there was something about that night that just felt perfect. And it wasn't even the little activities we were doing. Like afterwards, like we went to Target and got some treats, and like it was by all means a pretty normal, like fun date night, but it was just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's really interesting how life is like that. Like there's like a lot of kind of just even kill, just minutia.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a bit of bad suffering, darkness, depression.
Yeah.
And then there's these beautiful sacred moments
Mm-hmm.
that insanely make it all worth it.
Yeah.
They do. And I actually believe that, that middle and that low end, those can kind of be neutralized and lessened.
Yeah.
And some of these beautiful moments can be increased as we
Mm-hmm.
connect with ourselves, connect with God's, connect with and connect with relationships. But those moments make everything worth it.
And it's like sometimes when I'm down, I just think like I just need to get to that next moment.
Sure.
And kind of like it's almost like you're leapfrogging from stone to stone on this body of water, and it's
from
like
stone to clay.
From stone to clay. But yeah, sometimes the next stone is pretty far away.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, when you get there, I don't know, it's just all worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reminds me of Jesus when he was on the cross. Part of what motivated him was the joy that he knew would come from being able to save us all from our sins.
Yeah.
You know what else it made me think of? I don't know if you were like me. When you were a kid, were like Halloween and Christmas and New Year's, were those all just like the best days essentially of all time?
Yeah.
Your birthday.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what age it happens, but you do like a New Year's and you're like, I didn't really kiss anyone. Like nothing really happened.
Yeah.
This party was lame. Right. You do a birthday and like someone you really care about forgets to wish you a happy birthday. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden those days kind of start to lose their magic.
Yeah. Or there's some bittersweetness.
Sure. Or whatever. Yeah. Right. They're just definitely not what they were. When you were a kid.
Yeah. The magic has faded.
Yeah. Like, because when you're a kid, it's like 4 a.m. and you're like going into your parents' room.
Yeah.
And then you go back at 5:30 a.m. And then you go back at, what I mean? Yeah. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It'd be concerning if I was, but what I argue is that when you have kids, you get to recapture and relive that magic through them.
Yeah.
All of a sudden Christmas is what it was, but almost more beautiful.
Right.
Because now you get to see you're the creation of that magic that you experienced when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And in the same vein, like when we were talking about those beautiful moments, like with, a girl, right? Like that kind of relationship to come full circle to what we talked about earlier, it can cause some of this middle minutia of life to be like grocery shopping.
Yeah.
My parents say some of their funnest memories are grocery shopping together.
That's crazy.
I haven't been grocery shopping in like 2 years. I hate to admit that.
I don't know where a grocery store is.
Yeah, that's hard. Especially with all the technology we have, it makes it harder to know where one is.
Haven't found one.
But you know what I mean? Like, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the laundry.
Yeah.
Doing you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, some of our like best times we have are just like kicking it.
Sure.
Just talking, and yeah, we don't, because we're not building a life together as men, we don't bother doing minutia together.
Yeah.
We're not usually like, hey, let's do some laundry as a team.
Yeah, I'd say no.
That's really rude. I'd love to do laundry with you.
Oh,
but yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? And one other thought on this quote before we move on. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to share, whether it's a movie, a show, a song, and you're like, I just love this song or this movie. You almost get like that cuteness aggression that people talk about with kids or like dogs where you just want to squeeze them. Like that's what that was kind of reminding me of when you're just like the song, it hits you in a way you know, that a song hasn't for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And you're like, I love this song.
Yeah.
You know, that's what kind of that quote reminded me of,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why I love when I feel that with a show,
Mm-hmm.
I love sharing that show with somebody that I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause it's another way to kind of re-experience it and to see them. And if they love it too,
Yeah.
now it's like it's happening all over again. It's a way to
that's-
re-experience the
And
beauty.
like you said with your kids, it's the same thing with a significant other, right?
Yeah.
Like I always kind of secretly hope that my significant other hasn't seen all my favorite shows.
Right.
You know, like I kind of wanted to, so I know we have similar taste. But it'd be so fun to go back and like watch The Office with the girl for the first time that loves The Office.
The Jim and Pam arc.
Oh my gosh, what would I give? What would I give?
Yeah, so that's what that made me think about. And to be frank with you, I know that you create beautiful art. When you talked about the last lecture, it made me think of the book that you're writing right now.
Oh yeah.
About the older gentleman that's kind of talking about his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for that one.
Thanks, dude.
But you know, when I write music, this is what I want to create in other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if it can be tied into like them having like a connection with the divine too,
Yeah.
that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Like for me, my relationship with God, like, it's why I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how bigger I can say it. It's well, first off, it's completely undeserved.
Yeah.
I don't deserve to have a relationship with the God of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, I've earned myself a lot different statuses.
Sure.
But go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, but that's the definition of unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
There's no condition.
Yeah.
It's unmerited.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so what his son did on the cross, you know, one of my favorite sayings of all time comes from Erwin McManus. He says, every other religion shows us what we need to do to get to God, but Christianity shows us what God did to get to us.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I realized like that we love him because he first loved us, you know, like John says, and that like for me, like that relationship is like everything that I'm looking for in life, you know. When my music can help people connect with God for the first time ever, maybe,
Yeah.
or just now when they desperately need it, which is all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he can come in and be the solution to the problems that they're facing. You know, it makes making music so much fun because it takes this quote that we read about from C.S. Lewis, and it takes it to even another level, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a medium that they can encounter God. Yeah. You know, it makes it the greatest passion of my life right now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I showed you this a while ago. There's this video of Shia LaBeouf talking about Christ on the cross. And he said something so crazy. It never crossed my mind, but he said to him in that moment, Christ was experiencing ultimate joy because he was fully in his purpose. And it made me think like, okay, like what are some analogs to that? You know, maybe a mother giving birth, right? Where it's honestly a tremendous amount of pain.
Well, and all those words that are similar to like Christ types, delivery, you know, to bear, like all of those really cool words that are in birth. But
and then it makes me think, okay, what can I do to be fully in my purpose and achieve maybe this kind of ephemeral ultimate joy?
Yeah.
You know, and to me it's a couple things, right? It's maybe, you know, extreme, beautiful, real connection with someone. Yeah. Friend, family, someone you love. It's, you know, creating art that becomes, like you said, at some point, art can transcend and become divine. Yeah. Right. Or maybe the art doesn't become divine, but it starts to connect you with the divine. Yeah. And it starts to be an offering. Yeah. And not just a piece of commerce. And then, I think there's a million other little things that bring you a lot of joy and bring you close. But I think when you're fully in your purpose, that's the only way to kind of achieve that.
So he said Christ experienced ultimate joy because he was fully in his purpose. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
So, was I close?
Yeah.
Sounds to me like then ultimate misery would be completely disconnected from your purpose.
Yeah.
And we've experienced that.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a job, whether it's being in sin, whatever it is, where we're totally disconnected from our purpose. And we just feel like our life is purposeless, pointless, aimless, That's when things can get hard.
Yeah.
That's a great reminder to like seek purpose.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like as human beings, we seek survival, right? I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, life is essentially impossible. So I'm just going to try and make it through one more day.
Right.
And I expect like a welcoming committee of like congratulators to, congratulate me at the end of the day.
Right.
Say, hey, you made it through the day. Good job.
Yeah.
Some days are like that.
Yeah.
But other days it's like, no, like, let's see if we can elevate above this baseline of just surviving and numbing out on my phone and numbing out with meds and numbing out with whatever,
Yeah.
And let's try and like get in tune with like the flow of life. Let's try and like get in tune with my purpose.
Yeah.
See if I can live a little bit on a higher plane than I have.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome because like I probably same for me and you, but I think we both gone back and forth a little bit, but I think we're both arriving at a stage where we do feel like we've discovered our purpose.
Sure.
Right. And I mean, your purposes are manyfold.
Sure.
But as far as what you want to contribute to the world and what you want your footprint to be.
What's so fascinating about that? People want to contribute to the world. They want their footprint. And for me, that's just a macro observation that the key to joy is helping other people.
Yeah.
Like the key to joy is selflessness. We have, Elder Neil and Maxwell said that selfishness is self-destruction in slow motion.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because on the macro, it's like, I want to like help the world, I want to win a Nobel Peace Prize, I want to contribute to society. I want to find a cure for cancer. I want to whatever, you know. But on the micro, it's a little trickier. We don't see selfishness as like for the thing there it really is, in my opinion, that's what's causing the unhappiness. So on the micro, it's like, how can I try and be, a word I love is useful.
Yeah.
Like, how can I be of maximum usefulness to God and others today?
Yeah.
And some days that sounds really exhausting.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? I just got done with like a 9 to 5 that almost like, took my life, and now I'm going to try and go be useful to other people.
Right.
And it's funny because it's this paradox of life where it's like, if I then go home and play my heart out with my 3-year-old, I'm going to find that rejuvenation I was looking for. Whereas if I go home and binge, the crap out of some series, at the end of playing my heart out with my 3-year-old versus binging the crap out of a series, you can interview both me's.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how I'm feeling.
Right. Yeah. Okay, dude, we're going to jump to another quote. That's such a good quote, dude. C.S. Lewis.
Oh, yeah. He has some good quotes.
He really,
I don't know if you know that about him.
I do, because I've read his books.
That was a jab.
No, that was just a sentence. Okay, dude, this one... Dude, I honestly think I honestly didn't do this on purpose. I think all 3 of these are from C.S. Lewis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I read one of his books like a month ago. So this one's interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. It says, but the pain changed you in little chips and cracks that might take you years to notice. And
just a light one.
Just a really light quote for the afternoon. Okay, what stuck out to me is because obviously, obviously pain does that to you, right? What was kind of curious was that sometimes it takes you years to notice. Do you feel like there's been things you went through 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago that you're just now kind of noticing those chips and cracks?
Yeah. Yeah. Pain can be our best friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talk about how God allows things. Because unfortunately, if left to my own devices, I've kind of proven to myself that like, yeah, I just don't do a very good job at making decisions. You know, I make decisions that seem like are gonna like help me, but they just don't, you know? And sometimes the only thing that can help me stop making those decisions is pain.
Yeah. Kind of just learning the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning the hard way. But I was going to add just like pain specifically.
Yeah.
Like the pain of learning the hard way. The
Right.
pain of like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's crazy. So the other day, this guy, I was, you know, chatting with this guy and he said, man, it's so much harder to do the right thing and so much easier to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I agreed with him. I said, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I keep using this. It's annoying. I'm doing this twice in a podcast, so forgive me. But I said on the micro,
Mm-hmm.
right? But on the macro, the weight and the conglomerate consequence of all of those bad decisions all of a sudden come crashing down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it becomes way harder to be doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And way easier to be doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, and in that moment, you'd give anything to be able to do the right thing. Yeah. Like doing the right thing sounds like the easiest thing in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just this, for me, talking about those chips and cracks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, actually recently, I just had like the pain of like so many bad decisions come crashing down on me that I was like, I don't ever want to experience this again.
Yeah.
I will do any right thing that I need to never experience this again.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would say that like right now, I know I speak in superlatives a lot, but right now I want to say that these pains that have created little chips and cracks in me is the best thing that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
Today.
Because they've built up and it's become like a bigger crack where you have to, something has to change.
But it took, I wish I could have realized it earlier. I wish that the first little ounce of pain could have been it.
Yeah.
I wish that's how life worked.
Right.
That I was just a fast, quick, easy study.
Yeah.
Some people seem like they are.
Yeah.
Great for them.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I kind of joke about how like sometimes in the kingdom, it seems like there's people that are more like, I don't know, maybe like a John the Beloved that just seem to be getting it all the time.
Yeah.
And there's people that are more like a Saul,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Just have to go through a lot to finally
Yeah.
start doing the deal.
Yeah.
And both are great. Both are needed.
Yeah.
You know, because they can help each other in different ways, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, you know, like some might be better when they talk to a Saul.
Yeah.
Others might be better when they talk to a guy that's just seems to be able to be good and do good and make this easy decisions better.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It seems like maybe they can't. Maybe that's just me projecting
It's kind
my
of
view of the world.
like kind of like your brothers.
I do feel like they're that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just like making good decisions and being good little boys. Just this seems like it's second nature.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's great because I do believe that that's like the one of the keys to happiness.
Yeah.
Is trying to be good and help others and follow God and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So, but the beautiful thing is that at the end of the day, so one of my favorite scriptures of all time, it's in Alma 34. It says, you know, yea, all are fallen, all are hardened, all are lost and must perish, save they should rely on this Redeemer. And so whether they're like my little brothers where it seems a little bit easier or whether they're like, you know, others that it's just a little harder at the end of the day, we all fit. It said all like 4 times.
Yeah.
It sounds like we all need hope.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is a lot of times you get into the inner workings of these people that seem like everything's going well and you learn, everyone's got a story.
Right. Yeah.
We all need saving sometimes, you know.
I remember this was maybe 5 years ago or something. I found out that my cousin was getting divorced and I was like, hold on. This doesn't make any sense. This is the literal salt of the earth guy. Like just, and not only like, it seems like he had a spotless life, but he's also like extremely likable and charming. And I'm just like, when I found out he was getting divorced, I was just like, my world is no longer something that makes sense. And
that's a hard sentence to say.
Yeah.
Most people can't articulate it, but if we all could, we'd say it from time to time.
It's funny. And then he's a really, really special guy. And we talked about it, you know, we got on the phone and talked about it a little bit, and he, you know, he told me some things, and I was like, I guess your life isn't as perfect as I thought it was. And he's like, no, bro, it's friggin' not.
Yeah.
And it's funny in me always thinking he was such a, and he is a beacon of goodness, but in me thinking like, oh man, he's had such a easy, chill life. I literally forgot like their firstborn was a stillborn. And passed away, you know, like hours later or something. And like, I'm like, yeah, dude, everyone goes through crap. And sometimes it seems like people just have these like crystallized lives. And you know what? Some people, frankly, have it easier.
Yeah. Life's not fair.
Right. But yeah, most people, like, life is a complicated crucible.
Can I share something on this thought that I had the other day? That question I just asked you annoyed me. Could you imagine you saying no? But anyway, so I was getting out of my car at a Maverick, and there was a homeless guy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us get in the habit of trying to avoid eye contact because we don't want to like get into like a panhandling situation. You feel horrible saying no.
Right.
But we made eye contact, and I just went, you know, and he did the same to me.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was trying to tell him, bro, there's no judgment from me at all.
Yeah.
I think I was in my church clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was a Sunday.
Right.
So, yeah, no judgment from me. I'm going to Maverick on a Sunday to grab a tree. But I was trying to look at him and just say, bro, from this church going Thai person, like I get you. Like I see myself in you.
Yeah.
Like I've metaphorically been sitting on the front of a Maverick before.
Yeah.
Like, I hope you get through whatever you're going through. Like nothing for me. Yeah. And then I realized I had this really cool teaching moment. Jesus has that kind of empathy.
Yeah.
Where he would look and be like, hey, way more.
Right.
Right. Cause he sat.
And he actually knows that.
He sat on the front of the Maverick. You know what I mean? He's been there.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I cut you off a little bit. You were talking about.
You're good.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say like, you know, where he's like, hey, I like, not only like the way that I was trying to do that, I imagine that like if he could have gotten out of the car and looked at him, you know, I imagine it, but like times like a million, you know, it's like, hey, not only do I like get you, but I want to come into your heart and into your life and be the solution to the problems that are causing this intense suffering. Because, you know, when people are in that state, you can see the suffering.
Yeah, you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah. And they're at a state where they don't even care that everyone's seeing it. A lot of us are suffering quite a bit,
right,
but we're still trying to save face.
Right.
They're past that point, right? And just come into that suffering and be its solution.
Yeah.
You know. And I was like, man, how much would that influence my prayers? How much would that influence my walk with Christ?
Yeah.
If I could just see him pervert, I'm the homeless person on the Maverick. He gets out of the car.
Yeah.
And looks at me like that. Like I was trying as just a mere mortal to look at this guy.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, everything in me wanted him to know that I felt for him.
Right. Yeah. That's really cool.
And saw myself in him.
Yeah. And I think that's like, I'm sure that doesn't happen to you that often.
No.
But I think it's a cool practice to just try to see yourself in other people.
Yeah, it is. You know? and that's a really good observation because there's some people that are going to be really hard. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And those are the most important ones to try and do it with.
Right.
You know, it's one of my favorite sayings is those are the hardest to love and need love the most.
Right.
Whew. So yeah, when someone's like annoying, when someone super disagree with, when someone is whatever.
Yeah, there's this funny lyric by did you ever listen to Ben Folds?
Yeah.
He has this funny lyric where he says he's kind of like talking to his girl in the song, and he says whatever her name is, he says, "Hey, don't you see a little bit of yourself in the bathroom attendant you just scowled at?"
Ooh. Dude, I love when artists just randomly get crazy deep like that.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things. Remember when we were talking about our buddy, we were sending in worst songs of all time, and he sent in All Star by Smash Mouth.
Yeah. And then we looked at the lyrics.
And I was like, here's the thing, like the lyrics are kind of good. Like they're kind of deep, kind of meaningful.
Yeah. Shout out Smash Mouth. Oh, that's so good. Okay, dude. One last quote.
This is a really good idea, by the way.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
This quote is so, I had to think about it a couple times, but I'd love to hear your
I'll do my
thoughts.
best to internalize on a first reading.
Yeah, just do it on the first try.
Okay, I will. Try.
It says, "And when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt or death brushes near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Tell yourself that you tasted as many as you could."
I think I maybe got it.
No, it's not that complex.
Oh.
Yeah, I just remember reading it and being like, "What?
Yeah.
Whoa!" Like just because it's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
I liked when you started. It gave me time to think. Okay, I'll start. I think, what's funny is it's really intertwined with the theme of this podcast so far.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, I got something. My dad is obsessed with the concept, and he's coming on here.
Yeah. I think he's our next guest.
Oh, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
That's too bad. Yeah, I didn't even do that on purpose. But
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, get a whole lot of Schmidt on this podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what I was going to say is he's obsessed with the fact that amazing things, and he's talking mostly spiritually, but I think this goes for everything.
Yeah.
Just become invisible to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, this isn't a very strong example, unfortunately, but it is really poignant. I got knee surgery, as you know, and I was sitting in the hospital, and I was like, could you imagine if it was 300 years ago right now? I'd just be the neighborhood gimp because I tore my meniscus.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even know what was going on.
Right.
All I know is I can't really straighten my leg. I can't really walk.
Yeah, you'd just be lame.
Yeah, I'd just have a cane and I'd be a gimp.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot harder to pull girls as a gimp.
Yeah, probably.
But and I was just like, in that moment, I was like, boy, do I take for granted modern medicine.
Yeah.
I just said, oh, there's a hospital. I got to go find the best surgeon. Fix me up.
Yeah.
Make my knee better again. It's like modern medicine is about as invisible as it possibly can be to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what this kind of made me think of. It's like, as these apples, you want to taste their sweetness, try and see this invisible. That's why one of the coolest things, in my opinion, that God does for us is a sunrise and a sunset.
Yeah.
It's like every morning and every night, he's trying to remind us that, hey, I'm here. Life's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm beautiful. You're seeing my beauty in what I've created.
Well, and how about the fact that, like, even though the sun remains the same, there's really no identical sunset.
Unbelievable.
Like, because the clouds affect the way it looks, the atmosphere, the wind, the time of, like, everything is different every time. It's
one of my favorite things in life is variety. Mm-hmm. And I think you and I always strive for variety in our speech, maybe to a fault, but the variety of God is unbelievable. Here's a really cliche one, and I'll do one that's maybe not so cliche, but like snowflakes.
Yeah.
The other day I was, on some Christian meme page, and it was showing you could swipe through a picture of 80 snowflakes. And I was like, this is so, you didn't even have to do that.
Right.
You're just showing off.
Yeah, that was going way too hard. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah. You're just showing off at this point.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about just human beings, man. The variety of humanity is unfathomable. Right here in Utah, in our little bubble where we have all this groupthink and we're all just in one place. The variety of our opinions, the variety of our the way we talk, the way we look. Because when you're as an author, you know this. where you're like, oh man, do I keep using that word?
Yeah.
Or do I keep using this? Like, could you imagine like the Lord being like, oh man, like I've used this nose like a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's unfathomable.
Yeah. The fact that there's not, you take away identical twins, there's not two people that look exactly the same.
Ever.
That doesn't make any sense.
And it's like 100 billion people that have ever lived on the.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I can't comprehend 100 billion.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I can't. So yeah, that's kind of what it makes me think of, is just like beautiful things become invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I realized, yes, this is coming full circle. Like when we finally find our person,
mm-hmm.
like they're rarely going to become invisible.
Yeah.
But what I realized from God is sometimes he can't give me something that I want because I'm not even ready to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like he has to take my simple, like fallen mind and get it to the point to where I can like take all, I see through a glass darkly right now. He's got to take away all these things so I can finally actually appreciate the gifts he wants to give me. I can't remember what it was, but there was something that I remember that I like all of a sudden I like was appreciating.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that it was something that I had always had.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So that's what those taste, every last one as it falls down from the ground. You know what I mean? Even speaking of apples, like I don't even really love apples,
mm-hmm.
But an apple is such an awesome miracle.
Yeah.
Maybe if there wasn't so much candy and soda and all this stuff, I think it was the best thing ever.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. It's, that's why these little gratitude posts I've been doing have been so meaningful for me.
Yeah. Which is the most important part.
Yeah. Because it's conditioning me to open my eyes and see what's something I'm grateful for that's I haven't really thought about lately.
Yeah.
Or I haven't articulated ever. Like, it's easy to be like, yeah, I'm grateful for my family and my body and my job and my house, but to be grateful for, a little, it's weird, the little things that can happen to you sometimes that aren't in and of themselves, they're not meaningful, but when they happen, they kind of remind you that you're alive, right? They kind of remind you that you're in this fight.
Yeah.
You're in the human race.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's something so subtle. It's a little breeze that kind of catches you off guard. And for some reason, it kind of recalibrates you. And you're like, oh yeah, like I'm like all in my thoughts. I'm all in my head about something, but I'm actually like having an awesome day. Like my friend just sent me this really sweet text. Like, my mom called me last night. I had this awesome, you start to remember all these beautiful things you have. And it's like, to me, that's God just kind of whispering, right? And just kind of saying like, yo, remember? Like, I'm right here. Like, yeah, life is full of tragedy and heartbreak, but like, I just love those little moments where you're like, oh yeah, like I'm alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of part of the beauty, like the tragedy and the heartbreak give life its beauty.
Yeah.
Like if there wasn't those polarizing things,
it
would all just become muted.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend that, was raised with a lot of money, and he just played and played and played and played and played, which I think all of us fantasize about that. Yeah. It's like the classic, it's in the middle of like January and you fantasize about being like on a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
But he talked about how it all became gray.
Yeah.
Now, what a terrifying thought.
Right.
You finally have all the resources, everything that you want to like live this life that we all dream of. This is carefree. And then all of a sudden you can't find any meaning. You can't find any pleasure. It's just all gray.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like if you are raised poor or whatever, and then you come into wealth, what does that wealth mean to you?
Yeah. It means everything.
Like if you are, like we said, if you are without a significant other and you come into one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's pretty beautiful. Like life. And this is something that I've really been trying to appreciate. Like, cause I've been through some hard times, even with like this really cushy upbringing that I've been in, you know what I mean? But I'm kind of at a stage of life where I'm just like super grateful for random things. I'm grateful for my freedom.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my opportunities. I'm grateful for some of these accomplishments. Whereas before, people would be like, hey, congrats on like the business or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, well, it's not here yet. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, of course it's not there yet. It's where it is.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It exists.
Yeah.
You're in a warehouse. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, dude, you remember this was this last summer, me and you were in Lake Powell with some friends, and we have a friend that that flies a helicopter.
Yeah, yeah.
And he kind
like
of
most friends.
like all close friends. and he kind of zoomed in on the last day and wanted to hang out for a bit and took us for a ride. And it's funny, like I just don't think about this very often, but we were up just flying around, and he had some cool music on. And he was like, "Hey, let's take a minute and let's think about what we're grateful for." But then he was like, "Hey, guys, we're in America. We're free." And he focused on a couple of things. I'm just like, dude, I don't even really think about that very often. I'm not like, I'm just not like an overly patriotic person. Sure. I don't think about my country that often. Sure. This is just where I live, and yeah. I'm grateful. But yeah, it's cool every once in a while to remind yourself like of those things.
Yeah. Did you remember what he said later to us after we like?
Tell me what he said.
Oh, I remember you quote it so well, so I'm gonna butcher it.
Oh, when he said,
yeah. Go
okay, yeah. He's like, and just a reminder, guys, like, God loves us, and we're all gonna be friends forever. Yeah. And he was like, it was, and I think before that he said
the only two problems in life are death and hell.
Yeah.
And Jesus overcame both of them.
Yeah.
So he said, God loves us and we're going to be friends forever.
And he's like, I know life is really hard. And he's like, I don't want to, take away from any struggles you guys are going through, but like, we're going to live forever and we're going to be friends forever. Yeah. And it was so cool. He's such an amazing friend that we kind of stumbled upon.
A mentor, right? And that's a classic example. Like, he's, sometimes can be invisible to me, but he's like a mentorship to us that came at right when we needed him.
Yeah. Yeah. I last night went over to his place and we just talked for like 2 hours, just me and him.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's just like one of those many things that when whatever, we get rejected by a girl or whatever, we're in our feels, we forget about.
Yeah.
Do we have this world-class mentor friend that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to have,
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love that quote so much is I think as the apples are falling down beside us, we think, well, there goes all the sweetness I'll never taste. And you forget about all the apples that you did have, Okay, just a couple more questions. This is kind of a, what kind of question is this? This is kind of a, like, probably something we've talked about so many times, but I'm curious, is there for you, because we've gotten like suspiciously close over the years. We've had so many cool moments that have like, it's funny, one of my best friends from high school, Ryan, that like he started this years ago, but anytime like something cool happens between us, he'll be like, oh, bro, that solidified the friendship. Like as if it wasn't super solid before. But
that's so him. It's so funny.
I know. But yeah, is there a moment or two that sticks out to you that was like, oh man, this really, really brought us closer?
Yeah. There's a number of them. And I think it's been in a lot of my honey roast to you.
Sure.
So instead of talking about it broadly, I'll try and think about a moment. But yeah, I'll just share two real quick. But that moment where like, I just was having a really hard night and I couldn't sleep. And I just called you. I was like, hey, like, it was like 2:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, can we, I don't know, go get a bite or something? Like, it's not going well.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's super funny because kind of going back with what we talked about earlier, like I was just like, I felt totally safe with you, whereas with like other people, like, bro, like you're at the point where you need to be like calling people in the middle of the night and like come and get dinner with them. Like you need to get your crap together.
Yeah.
Like, what's your problem?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You were just like, yeah, we can talk about what's got you, you know, not doing so hot or not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just here.
Yeah.
You know? And I think more recently, just when I like came to you and I was like, hey man, like, I got to share like some stuff that I've been going through that's been like really hard, you know? And you're one of the few people on the planet that like, I feel comfortable like truly knowing me, you know?
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah.
That was big.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Yeah, dude, there's, for me, there's been so many moments, but yeah, it comes back to just kind of that same thing where like, I feel like that homeless guy with you, you know, I feel like, man, there's nothing I can do that Spen's going to kind of look at me backwards and be like, oh, you know, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know, you're gonna look at me and you're gonna, the sentiment is gonna be like I'm with you, whatever it is, you know, I got you. And it's something we talk about a lot with like wanting in our partners, our eventual, you know, romantic interests. We want that safety more than anything, right? To feel like I can come to you and tell you the most deranged thoughts I've had. I can tell you the most like cringy things I've said to girls. I'll show you my DMs.
No, it's too far. It's too far.
you know, you don't care what someone thinks when you show them your DMs. But
ultimate surrender.
Yeah, seriously. You're like, oh, this seems fine, and then it turns out you're saying something like really cringy to a girl that you're trying to get with. It's really bad.
Oh no.
All right, man. Last thing. I've done this. You know, this is our third episode, and I always do this. But yeah. Do you have any questions for me? Anything that we randomly haven't touched?
Share with me like an epic. It doesn't have to be epic because that'll put pressure on me. But share with me something awesome from this book you're writing.
Oh, okay. Something semi-epic.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay. This is a crazy scene I wrote, and it's this. I want to preface this by saying I do not struggle with suicidal thoughts, right? But I think like anyone, you have these nihilistic thoughts where you're like, it'd be great to not be alive right now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's easier than whatever's going on.
Yeah. And you don't actually think, okay, I'm going to try and think about ending it.
Sure.
But you think, I would like things to just go black.
Sure.
Right.
Maybe get a break.
I wrote this scene where there's this teenage girl and she gets pregnant, and the guy doesn't, you know, it's in high school. The guy doesn't want anything to do with her. Her mom is super disappointed. She doesn't have a dad, and she's just feeling like she hasn't told her mom yet. And she's thinking like, what can I, like, my life's over. My life is completely ruined. It's completely over. What am I going to do? And she was in the shower, just imagining, you know how in the shower you just have wild thoughts?
Yeah.
She was in the shower and she imagined, what if there was a button you could push that would essentially end your life? But what if the culture was, wow, what a brave thing she did.
Oh, interesting.
What a brave thing she did to, you know, to go into the black and go into the unknown. And it wasn't viewed as tragedy and wasn't viewed as cowardice and
selfish.
Yeah, and selfish and wasn't a catastrophe. And she just kind of
fantasized,
played with this idea in her head, and then, you know, kind of snapped out of it.
Bro.
But
so good. So good. I love how in your books you just connect the author with humanity.
Yeah.
in such a cool way.
Thanks, man. The thing is, we all have thoughts that like you have this thought and you're like, dude, if anyone heard that thought, like I'd go to jail or I would like people would think I was crazy, but everyone has weird thoughts. And even like you'll have thoughts that you're like, dude, what's my problem?
Yeah, you'll freak yourself out.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know how I went there, but I just, sometimes you kind of zone out and your thoughts just kind of run amok. Like, but yeah, everyone goes through that. So
it's cool. Yeah. I'm excited to read it.
Thanks, dude. Well, any parting words for the people?
For the people who are back at home.
Yeah. No, there's only 3 of us here.
Yeah. Or maybe driving, listening.
Yeah.
Anyways, wherever they are.
Yeah.
I guess that I would just say that find people you can feel safe with.
Yeah.
Find people you can be a human with. Mm-hmm. I have a belief that we all are a product of the fall.
Yeah. And
I have a belief that we all forget that.
Yeah.
And that we all run on the basis and the idea that everyone's doing well. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite quotes from Elder Henry B. Eyring, he says, I often assume that someone's doing really bad. Mm-hmm. And then what I find out is usually it's a lot worse than I thought.
Wow. That's heavy.
But that is not the culture that we run. We assume that everyone's doing really good.
Yeah, and we assume they're doing better than us.
Better than us or whatever. And then if we find out that our cousin gets divorced, we're like, whoa,
yeah,
what the heck, man?
Yeah.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
He's like, no,
right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be positive and incorporate these things into my life that can help me be a better person, a better husband, a better father, all that stuff. But no, I'm going through the human experience.
Yeah. Well, it's like our mentor we were talking about. We went to lunch one day and he was telling us like, people talk about like, oh, I'm like, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? And people that are like, oh, I'm always a 10 or I'm always a 9 or whatever. I'm always doing good. He's like, those people might consider they might need a little more empathy in their lives.
Oof.
Because certain people that are going through things, you don't want to meet them with a 9, with a 10.
Yeah.
You want to come at them with a little more softness, I guess. But anyway.
Those are my parting words.
Well, thanks, bro. Yeah, that's really insightful. One last thing. I know since our last episode, you've been cranking out music like a good boy. A good boy.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the easiest way people can find your music? What's the next musical piece that you're super excited about?
Yeah, so my artist name is Schmidt. They can find me pretty much anywhere under just Schmidt or Schmidt Music, right, on the socials.
Yeah.
Spenny Schmidt on Instagram.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then the next piece that I'm excited about is I've been reaching out. So I've been in sales my whole life.
Yeah.
So I've been reaching out to guys and girls that have made really inspiring Christian music that I love and asking for collabs. I've been getting some yeses.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I have like a couple collabs coming up and it's my first time ever. I'm going to fly out to Tennessee.
Wow.
Do a collab with an artist named Jabril, who's just amazing.
Yeah.
Just got off the phone today with an artist named Zach Kendall. We're in the same denomination.
Wow.
But we have like the exact same musical vision.
That's so
and he's such a cool kid. Like he's amazing. And so we're going to do a collab together. And I'm just excited to build this network of Christian artists all over and maybe others that, are secular, but maybe want to try and just have positive music.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for this network I'm building. It's really exciting to be with such like-minded people all over the world that are trying to, make the world a little bit better where they are.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. And it's got to give you so much just creative energy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is I reached out to these guys because I really like their music.
Yeah.
And so they're sending me ideas and I'm like, yeah.
Right.
Where sometimes you do a collab with someone where you have a slightly different taste. You're like, oh, that chord I've told a friend earlier makes me want to die. And you just put it in our song. So how can I say, please, can we not put the minor 4 in here?
Right.
We can't live with a minor 4 in a song.
No, I certainly can't.
That's which is funny because that Hallelujah song talks about the minor 4 and it's not the minor 4.
Yeah. My thoughts
So
exactly.
really hard to hear in the lyrics.
Well, that's awesome, dude. The other thing I was going to bring up, living with you has been so awesome because we're just both trying to be artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just been some energy there where I know you're creating and it makes me want to create.
Yeah.
So
Likewise.
it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I always want to steal your ideas. You'll have like a cool idea. And I'm like, hey, can I do this too?
Sure. Awesome, duo. Well, thanks for coming on for
Yeah.
the third time.
Thanks for having me.
Again, don't know how you got on here 3 times. but-
Like I said, it was righteous living.
Okay, good. Okay, everyone who would like to be a return guest, just you know what it takes. Okay, well,
Just
please
earn it.
just earn it. Yeah, share the episode. Once again, this is Of Stone and Clay, episode 71. All right, see you later. My guy, we did it.